Hi, welcome back to Graceful Art Designs. Today's video is going to be an intentional pour to pour out a white horse galloping in the sea, and the horse will be rearing up at a bit of a sharper angle than in the previous video where he was a dark horse. So I'm hoping he will turn out to be a whitish horse, but if not, I will add on white where it doesn't turn out white. And obviously this is only, as with all intentional pouring, it's an approximate shape. The final features, the finer features, I will have to add in afterwards, and the shaping will take place while the paint is wet, as opposed to once the paint is dry. I love horses. I think they're the most majestic animal, and so I've painted many oil paintings of horses in the past, and so these acrylic ones, where I'm intentionally pouring them out, are a first for me, both in terms of me as an artist and in terms of acrylic painting generally, because I've started this intentional pouring of all different shapes and designs, whereas in the past people mainly focused on doing blooms or other abstract shapes. So I've started this pouring with the intention of shaping something specific, and I've completed quite a number of different subjects by now. If you've been watching my channel, you will have seen many of them. If not, please do go back and have a look at some of them. I'll show you how I mix my paints for pouring out, and the plan is to do a background in sort of dark sea colors, and then to paint a white, to pour the paint out in the shape of a horse, and then to blow the horse out. I'm probably going to blow it out in the traditional way that you blow out a bloom, but to strategically place those blooms where the part of the body needs to be and where the head needs to be, and see what I can do with that. So, but what I wanted to show you was that I have a whole lot of blue colors because I use a lot of blue, and most of them are almost empty, so there's very little left. But I'm not going to throw them all away. Maybe like a third left in there. And they're not all the colours that I want, but the colour that I have the most of is this very dark Prussian blue, Liquitex Basic, which it's too dark for what I want. This is probably closer to what I want, this Pebeo, but it's also almost finished. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the tops of the ones that I can't squeeze anything out of, and then I'm going to scrape out what's left into one container, and that'll make a lovely mixture of blues. So that'll help the colours to be lighter than what they would be if I just used the basics, the Prussian blue. So the colours I have here are really hard to read and to see. Golly, it's a number 570 in Amsterdam, and I think it is, it's called, this is a phthalo blue. Well, it's a different phthalo blue, and then this one is an ultramarine, and that's the colour that I love, that blue. And you can see I've cut the top off, and if you look inside, there's quite a bit down there. So to just throw that away because you can't squeeze it out is a terrible waste. Brilliant blue, it's also a nice blue, and King's blue, which is very nice for birds and for the sky. And then the Pebeo, which is dark ultramarine blue, so it's a different shade to the Amsterdam ultramarine blue. And then I've also got I don't know, it's cobalt blue, so different to all the other shades. And then I have, that's violet, which I might use. I think I've got some. And then I'm going to use two different silvers, two different brands. One just some, cheap store brand, and then the other one, the Amsterdam brand. And so that will add some nice cells and lacing. And when I've tried every tool to scrape the container out, I've used a spoon, I've used this metal, I don't know, forgotten what you call these things. It's like a spatula, but a metal one. And then I can still see there's some blue left, so I'm going to need water to add into that. So what I'll do is I'll mix a little water, a few drops of water into the tube, and then I'll shake it around and then I'll squish it out. Using the different brands helps to bring out the cells and lacing. So what I've decided to do is, I had so many decisions to make. Do I do a marble pour? Do I do whatever? So I'm going to start and do a ring pour, because I have now darkened the horse with a black acrylic marker, but he's in the wrong sort of position. I want him to be rearing up a bit more. So I'm starting with a ring of mauve, and I'm going to get darker and darker as we go out, and then over it all I will make the shape of the horses in white and silver, and maybe a bit of the dark ultramarine blue. I'm not sure. I'll see. Anyway, I'm not putting the rings too close together because they need space to expand, and there's a lot more of this colour than any other colour, so I do want to use a lot of it, especially since it is an ocean pour, and I do need to cover the canvas. And then some of the dark. Well, I think I need to get rid of that spoon. I'll just put it there. I'm covering some more of my placemats because the other ones came out so nicely, and whether they will withstand heat I don't know, but they certainly are not withstanding heat with the thin little cover that they've got on them at the moment. And once it's damaged, it just it gets watermarks and tea marks, and you can't get rid of them, so they all start looking ugly. So I mean, this one in particular is very ugly and needs a new cover. So once they've dried, I will spray some varnish on it. Maybe that will make a difference, I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, so now I'm going to use some of this lovely Pebeo. And I'll add some in there. And then I'll add a little of the green in between. I said I wasn't going to fill up everything, but if you add too much, it just ends up running off, so it is a waste. And I really have learned that it's not necessary. Also, if you don't pour off, you're going to end up possibly with a paint surface that is too thick, and then you end up having cracking. So don't want that. And I think I'll add a bit more of this over here, because what's going to happen is most of this on the corners is going to run off. I already put way too much on there. So sorry I couldn't show you this bit, but you need 2 hands, if not 3 or 4, because tilting it, you have to, well, I pick up each corner, one of each corner, opposite corners, and then I turn it slowly sideways and then back the other way, so that I get even coverage all around before I start allowing it to start running off. And as you can see, quite a lot ran off. But of course the best bits always run off. So I ended up adding another bit of the phthalo blue to this corner and that corner, because all the other had run off. And I added a little bit more of the light blue and a little bit more of the violet, because I wanted the horse to be poured over that part, and then this to form like the deep ocean. So there's even a trace of the green still showing there, but that's about the only place. So now I'm going to, the decision is, how am I going to pour out this horse? Because do I want it, horizontally like that horse, or do I want it vertically, which it's not exactly going to work with this. I can't show you on this drawing how that would look, but it would be with the horse's head up there and then sort of down like that in an S curve, or I could do it this way, because it looks like we have more of the lighter colours which I want underneath the horse here. Either way there will be some dark, unless I do it horizontally, and then it will, there's enough light that I could put down a dark layer for the outline, and then the other colour. So I think that's what I'll do, just because that's how it's turned out. Yeah, so I'll try and show you how I'm going to do that. In fact, what I'm going to do is, as I said originally, I'm going to just do the way you would do a normal Dutch paw. So I'm going to lay down a stripe from one corner to the other. First of the dark blue, Prussian blue, then the white. For this it would be nice to have the squeegee bottles, but I just don't see myself going to all those lengths. I tried and then I couldn't get the bottles open. The paint got hard and dry in them and stuck, and I didn't use it for a long time. So now I'm adding some of this lovely dark ultramarine and then another layer of white. And then once I've blown out the horse, depending on how it blows out, I might add some more around the edges and blow those out as well, in the ocean, ocean wave type of blowout. And now I'm going to add the silver. And I've noticed from my other paintings, you do actually need a lot of silver. It's a very mild kind of paint compared to, like people always say, don't use a lot of 24 karat gold, but my gold is just the Amsterdam gold, and I never have a problem with too much of it showing. In fact, I've always been disappointed that there hasn't been more showing, especially on my ocean paw where I painted on the penguins. There was a bit of gold showing here and there, like some glinting on the sea, but not nearly as much as I had intended. I think I need more white here because I do want the white sort of making a film over the petals that I'll blow out, the blooms that I'll blow out. As you saw in the painting I did of which I converted into a bride, there the white covered the magenta underneath and made a lovely sort of film over it. So now I'm going to just let it settle for a few minutes, and then I'm going to blow it out.